Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Bullpen Podcast. Hope everyone had a great Sunday. I'm your host, Adam Kunos. Go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at Kunos19. You can also follow the show at the Bullpen Pod on Twitter as well. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page. Subscribe to our YouTube page for all your weekly shows every Sunday live at 10 o'clock at night following Sunday Night Baseball. And don't forget, we also have a couple videos that are planned or in the works that will be uploading here within the next month or so. So please head over to our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, click on notifications for when we upload any video for that channel. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics to find all your Major League Baseball gear, including jerseys, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, collectibles, and more. Check out the latest line of MLB Mother's Day hats and Armed Services Day hats that have been released by New Era. So please make sure you click on our Linktree link in our Twitter bio for all things Major League Baseball. As I said, it is April 30th. We have come to the end of April, and we have come to the end of the first month of baseball. It's hard to believe that the first month has already come to a close. And there have been a lot of surprises in this first month. Some good surprises, some not great surprises. So we're going to get into that here later on in the podcast. But we're going to talk about a couple things real quick on this podcast. So we're going to start with last Sunday's power rankings. Now, these are, again, power rankings that came out last Sunday. And I'm going to go through them, kind of give you my thoughts on, are these power rankings correct? Is there any discrepancies? What I think in the power rankings. But as of the 24th, the power rankings in Major League Baseball were number one, obviously the Tampa Bay Rays. The Atlanta Braves come in at number 2. The New York Mets at number 3. Milwaukee Brewers at number 4. New York Yankees at number 5. Houston Astros at number 6. Toronto Blue Jays at number 7. The Los Angeles Dodgers at 8. Baltimore Orioles at 9. And the San Diego Padres rounding out the top 10. Overall, I think this is a good top 10. I think that the Rays are obviously the best team in baseball, so you have to lock them in at number 1. The Braves, I think they are a good team. I think they're a solid lock at number 2. I would flip-flop the Milwaukee Brewers and New York Mets. In my opinion, I would put the Brewers up at number 3 just with how good they're playing right now. Even though that the Pittsburgh Pirates are being disrespected, in my opinion, I believe that they are going to be in the top 10 power rankings coming up when those are released tomorrow. But again, we're going by what last week's rankings are. I would definitely put the Pittsburgh Pirates up in the top 10. I would put them maybe like 6 or 7 right now. I would obviously drop San Diego or Los Angeles from this power ranking, unfortunately. Baltimore, yes, I am keeping Baltimore in this top 10. I'm actually going to be bumping them up from 9. I bump them up into the top 5 right now. They're 19-9, a .679 winning percentage, 8-2 in their last 10 games. So they're on an absolute tear right now. So I would definitely bump them up in my power rankings. The Yankees are the Yankees. They're currently 15-14. They're tied with the Red Sox at the bottom of the division. However, they're still over 500. I would drop them down on the power rankings. I would not be surprised if they drop out of the top 10. I know they've had some issues with Aaron Judge being injured. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop him or drop the Yankees out of the top 10 rankings when those are released tomorrow. Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are a good team. They're a well-rounded team, in my opinion. Good pitching, good offense, good defense. The Sky Dome is a great place to go to visit a ballgame. I've never been there personally. It's on my bucket list to get to the Sky Dome. But I would definitely keep the Blue Jays probably around the 7 or 8 mark in these power rankings. Another team that's not on the power rankings that I'm just going to have to say they're going to probably be in the top 10 or should be in the top 10, the Texas Rangers. And we're going to talk about the Rangers coming up later in the show. But I think the Texas Rangers should be bumped up in these power rankings. They're currently 17-11, had a nice series against the Yankees coming up, or had a nice series against the Yankees this past weekend. So I think the Rangers should be bumped up into the top 10. San Diego, for what it's worth, they are 15-14. They did get Tatis Jr. back in the lineup, which is going to help them boost that offense. 15-14 right now. Third in the NL West, a game behind both Arizona and the Dodgers. I would keep them at 10. I think 10 is a perfectly good spot for them right now. I think they're a good team. Now with Tatis Jr. back in the lineup, are they a great team? I honestly don't know. We know they had a great offseason with a lot of signings they brought in, so we'll see how Tatis fits in with this with this Padres lineup that has gone through a nice little revamp over the offseason. So again, rounding up your top 10, Rays, Braves, Mets, Brewers, Yankees, Astros, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Orioles, Padres. Those were your top 10 rankings as of the 24th. Now, again, we're going by what last week's were. When the rankings come out tomorrow, we'll tweet out what the rankings are and kind of see where I think the rankings should have been. But again, if I'm previewing tomorrow's rankings, you're going to be keeping the Rays as your number one team. They're the best team in baseball. They said 23-6. They had an outstanding month of April. I mean, to give you an idea of how well we think the Rays are in this household, they win 6-1 against the White Sox. And again, the White Sox are just a horrible team right now. They got swept in Tampa. They took 3 out of 4 from Chicago. In Chicago this weekend, they lost a heartbreaker to the White Sox today on a walk-off home run by Andrew Vaughn. But again, the Rays are just a great team. I expect they'll probably hang the top 10 the entire season. Braves and Mets, I believe these two teams are going to be jockeying for the NL East title this season, so you'll definitely see them bumping around the top 10. Brewers, they're going to be battling the Pittsburgh Pirates of all teams. I wasn't expecting the Pirates to be this good at the start of the season. The Pirates are 20-9 with a 690 average. They're 8-2. Did lose their last game, however, they're still 8-2 in their last 10. So we'll see how well the Pirates can hold off. The Cubs are playing some pretty good baseball. They're on a little bit of a skid, 3 of 7, lost 3 in a row. They're sitting at 14-13. A team that we thought was going to be good in the NL Central, the St. Louis Cardinals. They're sitting 10-19 right now, 345 average winning percentage, 10 games behind. They're 2-8 in their last 10, also on a 3-game losing streak. So the Cardinals are not as good as we thought that they're going to be this year. Again, is it just a slow start to the season for the Cardinals? We'll see if maybe they kind of bounce back and kind of revamp whatever they have down in St. Louis. Again, if there's something different that's going on down there, we don't know. But it's just an awful start for the Cardinals going into this season. Now, as we talk about the top 10, let's talk about some teams that are surprises right out of the gate. And we're going to start with one of the teams out here, the Baltimore Orioles. So the Baltimore Orioles right now are saying 19-9, 679 winning percentage, 3.5 games behind the Rays, 8-2 in their last 10 games. And they got a nice little streak going here. Now, if you remember last season, Baltimore just had an absolute fantastic season. They finished with a winning season for the first time since 2016. And right now, if you're looking at their team stats right now, they're hitting a team average of 256, which is 9th in Major League Baseball. They're hitting 32 home runs as a team. That's 14th best in Major League Baseball. Driven 137, that's 7th in Major League Baseball. So the offense is there. They got a pretty good offense going on right now. I mean, looking at the roster, you got James McCann, running veteran catcher they got behind the plate. You got Ryan Mountcastle at first, Adam Frazier at second, which I think was a good pickup for them. They bring in a good veteran player like Frazier. You got Gunnar Henderson at third baseman. You got Jorge Mateo at short, so that rounds out your infield. Kyle Stowers, Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins. You got some good outfield depth on this team. So Baltimore did kind of come up a little quicker than we thought they were going to be. We thought there maybe could be a season or two before they got into kind of competitive edge, but they're taking that competitive edge they had from last season, and it has carried over into the 2023 season. Now, pitching, they got a 4.26 overall team ERA, which is 14th best. They've struck out 251 strikeouts as a team that's 9th in Major League Baseball. Their WHIP is 1.30. Again, WHIP is walks plus hits per inning, which is 17th in Major League Baseball. And looking at their pitching staff over here, you got Brian Baker on his team. You got Kyle Gibson, Dean Kremer, Colin Perez, Austin Yu, Tyler Wells. So you got some really good pitching on this team. Yeah, it's not stellar pitching. They're not going out and just like lighting it up all over the place, but they got the pitching just to keep teams going. And again, they're a very good team in my opinion. I think they're going to be sticking around all season. I think they'll kind of hang in the middle of the AL East right now. Now, currently, they are second behind the Rays, who are, again, a fantastic season for Rays. We're going to talk about the Rays a lot on this podcast this season, as they should be featured because they are the best team. But I think Baltimore, if they can keep this little streak they got going up here, maybe we can see them jockey for a wild card position. Maybe we can see them challenge for a division if Tampa Bay cools off in the next few months. So we will see what happens with Baltimore. But right now, Baltimore is one of my surprises, probably my top surprise in the American League alone right now. And the second team that we're going to talk about that's a little surprise in the American League, the Texas Rangers. Yes, the Rangers down in Arlington, who had just an awful season last year, are now kind of picking up the pieces and kind of starting to put a winning ball club together. As a team right now, they're hitting .257, seventh in Major League Baseball. They have 34 home runs, which is tied for ninth in Major League Baseball. So again, if you haven't been to Globe Life Park down in Arlington, that is a very large ballpark. It's definitely not a hitter's ballpark in my opinion, but we'll see what happens with that. But again, I believe that the Rangers are going to be a great team this year. They're obviously showing it right now. Rounding out, they've driven in 159 runs in Major League Baseball, which is second in the league right now. So they got some hitting over here. And again, hitting is what they need. You got Nathan Lowe, you got Marcus Semien, Justin Jung, you got Josh Smith as your kind of core. So you got some good players over here. Now, if you're asking who are they missing, they're missing Corey Seager right now. Seager's out right now. They hope to get him back, but once he gets back, I think this offense will pick up again. So again, they're missing one of their key players in Seager. You got Garcia, Grossman, you got Thompson in the outfield. So again, they got a good outfield core. You got Brad Miller, who's been pretty good at DH right now. So again, the Rangers are hitting the ball right now. They have a really good offense right now. And if you're looking at the standings, and I'm pulling those up right now so I can give some good standings, they're 17-11, 607 in the AL West. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They have a 3-game winning streak, which includes 3 wins over the Yankees. So they beat the Yankees up pretty well over this past weekend. They got a plus 72 run differential, 11-5 at home, 6-6 on the road. So they got Arizona coming up next. So that's going to be a great series to kind of test out. You got 2 teams that are playing very well right now. So it's going to be a great kind of test for Texas going forward. Now, when you're looking at the pitching side, pitching has been a very good thing for Texas here with Dan Dunning. Obviously, you bring in Jacob deGrom. You got Ian Candy. Sorry, not Jacob deGrom. I don't know why I said that. You got Ian Candy, so you got a pretty good pitching staff for the Rangers. Sorry, I mean they do have Jacob deGrom. He is inactive right now, so again, you're missing a good pitcher in Jacob deGrom. So once you get him back, that pitching staff should be good to go again. But they have a 3.48 ERA, which is 7th in the Major League Baseball, 239 strikeouts, which is 17th in Major League Baseball, and a 1.15 whip, which is 4th in Major League Baseball. So the pitching has been good for Texas this year. Again, not stellar pitching. They're not going up and just blowing by teams left and right. They have a good, decent pitching staff this year. They have a kind of still trying to figure out pieces in my mind. I think they're still trying to figure out their identity down in Texas. Again, they're going to be competing against Houston, Seattle. You got the Angels that are playing pretty well. Oakland's a completely different situation right now. They're dealing with a lot more crap than they should be dealing right now with the team potentially moving to Las Vegas and kind of fans turning out in support for the team, but also kind of against the ownership of the team and the city of Oakland. In which, if you missed that, please go back to our last week's episode where we kind of dived into the Oakland situation. But again, Texas, a good surprise. So again, if I had to pick 2 surprises in the American League this year, Baltimore and Texas are my 2 big surprises so far in the first month. Now, if we're going to switch over to the National League, we're going to look at a team in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, the Pirates are just absolutely phenomenal right now. They're 29. They're the first team in the National League to get to 20 wins, and they're doing it again. We did not think that the Nationals were going to be. I'm sorry, the Pirates were going to be a great team this year. Now they did lose to the Nationals 7-2, but it's not like the Pirates have been playing bad the entire month. They have been absolutely phenomenal. They're 20-9. And let me pull up some advanced stats so we can tell you how good the Pirates are. They're 29, 690 winning percentage. They're 2.5 games. Game and a half above Milwaukee, 8-2 in their last 10. They got a plus 48 run differential. They're 9-4 at home, but 11-5 on the road. So they're playing absolute great baseball both at home and on the road. If you want to look at their team stats, I mean, I looked at these stats today and I was kind of blown away by what I saw. They're 264 team average, which is fifth in Major League Baseball. They've knocked 34 home runs, which is 11th. They've driven in 148 RBIs, which is fourth in Major League Baseball. Again, looking down the lineup, again, you got a veteran bat in Carlos Santana. You got Mark Mathis. You got Rodolfo Castro. So you got some good young talent mixed in with a good veteran player. You got Jason Daly and Austin Hedges who are splitting up the duties behind the backstop. You got Andrew McCutchen, I think it was great that they brought McCutchen back into Pittsburgh. I think he has definitely helped this team kind of vibe up again. He's a great back. He's going to be filling in that DH role. You got Brian Reynolds, Ching Wan Bei in the outfield. You got Connor Joe, who's also getting some playing time as well. But if you want to say a player they are missing right now is Jin-Man Choi. Again, they brought him in over the offseason from Tampa Bay. Once he gets back and he has a good stretch of hits, that is definitely going to pick up this Pittsburgh offense. But for right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates are a good team. They're 29, one of the best teams in baseball as of April. Now, can they hold this going forward? That's going to be a different story, in my opinion. 1 month of great baseball doesn't necessarily spell success for the rest of the season. We see this a lot of times where we've seen teams get out the really hot starts and then just kind of fade at the end of May, beginning of June. Now, if the Pirates can hold on to this momentum and kind of keep this going, they'll be a good team that we'll be talking about going forward. Now, let's move over to the pitching. They got a 3.55 ERA. They're seventh in Major League Baseball. 251 strikeouts, which is 11th. They got a 1.3 whip, which is 16th in Major League Baseball. Again, Rich Hill, Vince Vasquez are probably your two best pitchers on this team. You got David Bedard, Cody Bolton as well. But for starting pitchers, Rich Hill and Vince Vasquez, they're kind of holding down this starting pitching. You got two good veteran pitchers. Rich Hill has been bouncing around for the last couple of years. You got Vince Vasquez, who came over from Chicago last year. It's just a good veteran presence in that pitching staff. I think it's helping this team. Now, again, Hill's not going onto the mound every 5 nights and just kind of blown away with 90-plus mile-an-hour fastballs. I mean, unfortunately, that stuff. He is eating innings up. He is that veteran presence that's helping this young pitching staff kind of come into their own. Now, whether they keep with Hill the entire way or they release him halfway through the season, depending on performance, I don't know what's going on, but I think keeping Hill on this pitching staff is probably going to help this team going forward. So again, Pittsburgh Pirates are one of my picks for surprise teams in the National League. And we're going to go to another team, but we're going to go out west to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, Arizona has been playing good baseball. They're 16-13 with a 5.52 winning percentage, 5-5 in their last 10. They did lose their last game. They got a +5 differential, 8-6 at home, 8-7 on the road, so just a little over 500. But they have been playing some stellar baseball. They have been playing great baseball, in my opinion. And as a Diamondbacks fan, I mean, I'm happy that this team is doing well. When you cheer for two teams, you got one team on the south side that's playing complete shit baseball. It's just a relief to when you cheer for another team that they're actually playing some pretty good baseball out in Arizona. Overall, they have a 265 average as a team, which is fourth in Major League Baseball. Only 25 home runs, which is down towards the bottom of the league, 24th. They've driven in 140 RBIs. So again, Arizona has not been like, I'm going to say, a go out and just knock everyone around. They're not scoring 5 to 7 runs every night. They are scoring enough runs just to get everything going. You got Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Evan Longoria, which I do like that pickup now that he's been here for a month. I am starting to see the benefit of bringing Longoria to the Diamondbacks. He is covering that third base with Emmanuel Rivera and Josh Rios. You got Nick Ahmed, who's returned from injury, and I think that's a great presence for this Arizona team. bringing back that veteran infielder. You got Corbin Carroll, you got Alec Thomas and Dominic Fletcher in the outfield. So it's a good outfield core. Again, this is still a very young team out in Arizona. I don't think they're going to be able to keep this up. If I'm going to be honest with myself, I don't think Arizona's going to be able to keep up this momentum going forward. I mean, they've had a great month. It's good that this team is playing well. However, I don't think that Arizona is going to be able to keep this momentum up. I'm hoping I'm wrong on this, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I am dead wrong on this, and that they kind of keep up this momentum. But I don't think Arizona has the stuff to keep up with the San Diego, with the Los Angeles, because once those two teams get hot, I think it's going to be definitely a two-team dog race in the NL West. And again, I hope I am wrong. I hope that Arizona can come out and kind of prove me wrong in this. And Diamondbacks, if anyone from the Diamondbacks organization is listening, please prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong on this one. I want you guys to do well out in the desert. Now, pitching staff, they got 4.75 ERA, which is 22nd in baseball, 234 Ks, which is also 22nd. They got a 1.36 whip, which is 20th in baseball. Zach Gallen has been this team's ace. I mean, he is going out there and he is just giving you guys just game after game of dominant starts. And I'm going to pull up his last couple games because those last couple games kind of do tell kind of story of how he has been pitching this season. Right now, he's 4-1 with a 2.15 ERA, 51 strikeouts, a whip of only .77. He's ate up 37 and 2/3 innings. In his last 3 games, he is 3-0. He's averaging about maybe 6 and 2/3 inning overall. No runs, so he has a good little scoreless streak of 20+ innings going on right now. In his game versus Kansas City on the 26th, he had 26 strikeouts. He followed it up with 11 strikeouts versus San Diego, 7 strikeouts versus Miami. Again, only giving up 8 hits in his last 3 outings, and that's just absolute stellar. He is probably your pitcher of the month, in my opinion. I think he should rack up, in my opinion, NL pitcher of the month for sure. If he's not, I don't know who's going to be able to outdo him in that one. But I believe that Zach Gallen has that kind of monthly award locked up for him. Again, he's definitely been the ace of the staff, and he's been kind of holding down staff, and that's what I believe is helping Arizona get off to this fantastic start. All right, so this past weekend we had Major League Baseball kick off their MLB World Tour, and they start off with the Mexico Series down in Mexico City with the San Diego Padres and San Francisco Giants. They just had a little 2-game series out in Mexico City with the Padres taking both games, winning game 1 16-11, and then winning the final game 6-4. I like what Major League Baseball is doing with this World Tour and getting baseball out to a broader audience and taking games out of the country live. I mean, you got the Mexico Series, you got the London Series that's coming up later this year. I think it's just a great idea that Major League Baseball is taking these games to different parts of the world. And Mexico City, I think, is a great spot to start with. You have a good baseball culture when you get down to Mexico and to the Caribbean. You got a lot of passionate fans who cheer for Major League Baseball teams that are all over the world. So it's nice that they get to come out and see teams play, regardless of who they cheer for. They get to see some live Major League Baseball action. And overall, I think it's just a great thing that baseball is doing right now. I like how this looks for baseball. I think they need to be doing more of this. I hope they continue this City Series, this MLB World Tour going on to not only 2023, but in 2024, 2025. I hope they continue the series. I would like to see maybe broaden the series. We've seen games played in Japan. We've seen games played in Australia, London. Let's take games to France. Let's take games to Germany. Let's expand our World Tour to include more games. Let's take games to Korea. Let's take games over to more games in Japan. Let's broaden our horizon. Let's take games over to India. Let's play games wherever we can. I think you need to expand this World Tour, in my opinion, just so you can kind of make baseball a more global sport. Now we know that basketball, football, soccer, those are easy global sports. Hockey as well, those are all global sports. But baseball, I think, needs to do a little more work on making sure that this game becomes global. Now, what you did with the World Baseball Classic at the beginning of the year was absolutely fantastic. You had an amazing classic that I think is going to be talked about for years to come after this. Now you need to expand on this, and I think starting off the MLB World Tour with this Mexico series is a good stepping stone for Major League Baseball. And again, I want to see them expand on this more coming up. All right. So last week we had three series that me and my wife were picking. I did pick up 2 in the standings, so I am now 11 for 21. My wife is still 14 and 21, so she still has a 3 series. She still has a 3-game lead on me in this series. Unfortunately, we did not go well when we picked the Rays. I did win our Philadelphia Seattle matchup and also the Rangers New York matchup. So I did pick up 2. However, she still has the advantage going into this week. So what series are we picking this week? So I got 4 series for you guys this week that I'm going to talk about, and I think they're good series that are coming up. So let's dive into it. With our first series is the Arizona Diamondbacks at Texas Rangers. I guess I like this matchup because you got 2 teams that, again, I talked about them earlier, 2 surprise teams that have started the season off pretty well. You got Arizona, who's currently tied for first in the NL West. You got the Rangers, who are currently first in the American League West. So now you take the leaders of the Western Division, you put them in a good little 3-game series, and I think it is going to be a good series. It's only a 2-game series, so it's only going to be a quick 2-game series. So there's a chance that this series could split, and we could end up tying if depending on who we pick. But we are both picking the Diamondbacks in this series. I'm an Arizona fan. We've been out to Chase Field once in 2018. We love the stadium, love the atmosphere. So my wife and I, we're going with Arizona to kick off this week's games. We're looking at the Blue Jays and Pirates next. So again, we talked about the Pirates as one of our surprise teams. The Blue Jays are still playing incredibly good baseball. I think this is going to be a good series. I mean, Pittsburgh is coming off a loss to the Nationals. Toronto's coming off a loss as well. Now Toronto does start off with Boston. The Pirates are going to be going up against Tampa Bay. So you got the Pirates going down to Tampa Bay. So you got the 2 best teams in baseball going against each other. And we're going to talk about that series next week because I think it's going to be a series to talk about going forward. But I want to look at the Blue Jays and Pirates. Who are we going to pick? We're kind of split on this one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go with the Birds from Toronto. My wife's going to go with the Buccos out of Pittsburgh. So I'm picking Canada's national team. My wife is hoping that as a Raise the Jolly Roger type of series in the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now we got our first division matchup, matchup of the top teams in the American League Central, which has just been an awful division in my opinion. If you're looking at the divisions in the American League, the AL Central is probably the worst division out of the 3. The AL East right now, all of your teams are above 500. The AL West, you got 3 teams that are above 500 that are playing pretty good. But the AL Central, you got the Twins who are 17 and 12, 586. They got 26 run differential. And then you got the Guardians who are just a 13 and 15 with a negative 17 differential. You got the Tigers who are 10-17 with a negative 47 run differential. The White Sox who have a negative 65 run differential. And the Royals who have a negative 64 run differential. So this division is not competitive at all right now. But this series does intrigue me because we've seen these 2 teams battle it out for the division over the last several years. We've seen the Guardians run this division from 16 to 17, 18. You got the Twins who won this division in 19 and 20. You got the White Sox who won the division in 21. The Guardians won the division last year in 22. The Twins started off pretty hot last year and then kind of faltered, making way for the Guardians to win the division last year. We're going kind of split again. I'm picking the Guardians just because I just can't stand Minnesota. I don't. As this is coming from me as a White Sox fan, so it could be a little my White Sox talking about this, but I just don't like Minnesota, so I'm picking the Guardians. My wife's gonna pick the Twins, so I have a feeling that she will probably win this series as the Twins are playing pretty good baseball and the Guardians are playing kind of 50% or 500 baseball as of late. Our last series we're going to pick, I just kind of gave that away. Our last series that we're going to pick are the Dodgers and the Padres. Now, the Dodgers have had a pretty interesting start to the season. They're sitting 16-13 with a 17-run differential in the positive. The Padres are 15-14 with a negative 13-run differential, so they're kind of sitting in the middle of the NL West right now. But this is going to be the first series that San Diego goes up against the Dodgers with Tatis Jr. back in the lineup. You got Juan Soto. You got Manny Machado. You got a good offensive lineup coming in for San Diego. Now I'm looking at their lineup right now. So you got Cronenworth, Sung Kim, Manny Machado, and Xavier Bogaerts in the infield. You move Tatis Jr. out to the outfield. You got Soto in left field. You got Grissom and center. So you got a really good lineup from start to finish. Dodgers, it's been kind of so-so for this team this year. I don't think they're going to be the dominant team that we saw last year. Again, they're just a pretty average team right now on paper release and even playing. I thought they'd be a little far along. Again, last year they just ran away with the National League West. They won it by 20-plus games. They had the best record in baseball, 100-plus wins, and they just kind of ran away with that division. I think they're finally coming back to earth. I mean, we saw this with the Giants in 2021 with how well they played. They fell back to earth. Dodgers did it last year. I think they're going to fall back to earth again this year. But we're kind of split on this series again this week. I'm going with the Padres. My wife is going to Dodgers. So we shall see what goes on in this series. So before I wrap up, I just want to give you my thoughts on what I've seen in this first half of the season. Now, I'm going to start off with kind of a little bit of a rant and just how bad the White Sox have been playing. Now, I did pick the White Sox to win the division in my preseason shows. I thought they were going to have a great team this year. I thought that they were going to kind of put what they did back in 2022 behind them. It has not yet happened, and it is frustrating to watch. I mean, it almost seems like this team has quit on itself, and we're just in the first month of this season. I mean, I don't know what's going on in that clubhouse right now. I don't know what's going on in that front office, but it is not good baseball that fans are coming to see. I mean, if you were to search White Sox Twitter, they are not holding back. And I have been one of those people on Twitter who have not held back against this team. I have been kind of calling them up like, are you kidding me? You had leads in most of your games over the last week that you've just blown. You haven't won a single series this entire season. You haven't won back-to-back games in this month so far. I mean, looking at their stats, they're 8-21, a 276 winning percentage, 9 games back. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. They've only scored 118 runs. They've given up 183 runs. They have a negative 65 winning percentage. They're 4-9 at home, 4-12 on the road. I just don't get why this team has started off so bad. I mean, it looked like they were going to be a good team on paper. And again, the roster on paper does not transfer over to playing on the field. I'm a strong believer that what you put on paper will not make a good team. You have to have the talent on that team. Now, I think they do have the talent on this team. They just need to get that talent playing well. I mean, you have Tim Anderson, who has been out. You got Johan Moncada, who is out. You got Luis Robert, who apparently has been dealing with the hamstring issue over the last several games. So whatever's been going on in Chicago, they need to fix that immediately, in my opinion. They need to correct whatever the hell is going on in that clubhouse, and they need to find something that works for the team, because if not, it is going to be a very long season for the White Sox, and it's going to be a struggle to watch that team. go day to day, just not compete. Unfortunately, I mean, I hate to say it, they have been a non-competitive baseball team. Their pitching has been up and down all season. Their bullpen has been absolutely horrendous this year. They have the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball right now. Now, granted, you got Liam Hendricks, who just started his rehab assignment down in Arizona, who just started getting back into baseball playing shape. I hope he gets back onto this White Sox roster soon. I hope we see him back in that bullpen, because you get him back in that bullpen, I think you can turn that bullpen around. But we need to get him up to playing speed. Now, besides my White Sox rant, it's been a fantastic month of baseball. I mean, we've had some good games go overall. I think what we see in April. I think we just have more to come in the next 5 months. Again, we have 5 months left in the season. So I hope you guys are excited as I am. I hope you stick around for the season. I hope you're excited to see more baseball coming up. And I hope you guys continue to turn into this podcast. It truly means a lot to me that you guys turn into this podcast live on Sundays, or the downloads you've been doing. I thank my wife, who has been fully supportive of my podcast. She helps put together these slides. She picks the series with me, so we kind of I love this little family duel that we're doing. So I thank her for all the support she's giving me. My family, who's been listening to this podcast, friends who are part of the Lounge Room Network, Chris, who has been a coach to me for a while, who has been supportive of this podcast. I thank everyone for your support. And I love doing this every Sunday, coming out and talking baseball with you guys. And I hope you continue to tune in. With that being said, have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you next Sunday.